the Cranbrook population here. We're going to be looking at clean, accessible drinking water. In terms of the development, I'm going to do a little introduction for the facts. This development is not tapping into the Cranbrook watershed. 0.9% of it is overlapping into the Cranbrook watershed, but according to the developers, there's no going to be no development in the watershed or adjacent to it. The key issue I see here, from a factual standpoint, is there's going to be 7,500 people, permanent population in this development, plus tourists. It's an all-season recreational resort. There's going to be ATV, horseback riding, hiking, tennis, skiing, all kinds of things. The issue that I see, the factual one, is people going into the watershed and disturbing it. Right now, that's an issue with the Cranbrook watershed right now. There's more people there. So I open it to the panel now to discuss what's relevant here. I was wondering what you thought of that, Ron, about the number of people being beside the watershed.
Thanks for that, Steve. My limited knowledge of the area that's been defined, it's more than just the one watershed as well. There's a number of creeks, springs that come down all parts of those slopes, and that so just recognizing it's more than just the Cranbrook watershed. I guess my comments are going to be based more hypothetical than anything of substance, but philosophy around source water, drinking water, has to be, let's not draw too much attention to the great amenities in a watershed, and therefore let's try to keep public use out of the watershed as much as possible to minimize any type of threats to source drinking water. And this type of an activity could really do the opposite and draw greater attention to, especially if you start opening it up, to as you mentioned, ATV, mud bogging, if that's a potential in the area, and just general public use of the issue.
Yes, two concerns. One, the developers claim that a pond, a storage pond, could look after some of their water needs, but that'll be taking water away, runoff water away from where it normally goes on the mountain. And the other concern I have is that if the developers obtain a license to take water from the Kootenai River, is that not sort of equivalent to, I can see a connection between that and commercializing our water supply, commercializing the rivers and the streams and the lakes.
Tim, didn't you say you're from Fern?
Yes.
Didn't they do that there for snowmaking?
The Vaughan mosquito.
Yeah. So it's being done.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, pardon me, I got my back up about this, and excuse me if I'm coming on a little strong. I don't think the fact that it's done somewhere else gives license to do it here.
It is a secondary source, though. The main source is the stream runoff. I should let the panelists know. I did talk to Darren Pickering today. It's going to be on the north side where they would be taking that runoff, so it's not going to impact the runoff into the Cranbrook watershed itself.
Well, even so.
Just so people know that. It is a large mountain. There's runoff all the way around it. So.
Well, if that water goes into a storage pond, that's taking water away from the environment in other places.
Yes, but we're only looking at, in this particular context, we're looking at the people of Cranbrook here.
Okay.
And their impact. We have to narrow ourselves to that.
I just have one question.
On the other side of the house, this doesn't include me, like.
It will. That's the next step.
Because the runoff goes to my side.
It will. Yeah, it will. We're dealing with two different population groups. The first one is the larger one.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's better. The one question I would have, or one concern I would have, is that this isn't going to be the only direction in which Cranbrook grows. And it's indicated in your preamble here that we're going to be in an interesting situation with respect to our current water supply, delivering enough capacity for the city. And one of the things that I would like to know would be what are the city's plans?
Context of the city of Cranbrook is 7,500 people living close to the watershed, plus all the tourists. It's an all-season resort, so there's huge potential of those people going into the watershed and disturbing it, vis-a-vis ATVs, snowmobiles, and whatever else, hiking, and that's an issue in Cranbrook now, I understand. The second issue Doug raised that I see and I totally acknowledge is, even though they're not tapping directly into the runoff into Cranbrook watershed, it is limiting future sources for Cranbrook. So that has to be factored into this evaluation here for this particular assessment. And I think the best way to look at the scoring, everybody, is to look at whether it's a positive or negative impact. And I would say that this development is not enhancing the water accessibility of Cranbrook. So we're looking at a negative impact there. And it's, in my view, vis-a-vis people going in there and limiting future sources. So then you go from there for the scoring. I'm just trying to help people along there. Does anybody have
So, the information said you scored from 1 to 10. So if you're saying this is negative, and we agree, then what would that represent?
We're looking at 0 to 4 out of 10 for scoring. Can I go to the public now? Please. Okay.
Based on what we're doing here, like we're applying a rating system on negative or positive or whatever, but it's a known fact. If you put the more human interaction or development you have in the watershed, the more impact and risk you put in the watershed.
Yeah.
That's not new news. So the question is, this kind of a development that we're proposing, you have to look at the proximity to the watershed and come up with a rating system. Or rating.
Public, can I open to the public now? Does anybody want to add anything on this particular issue pertaining to the people of Cranbrook and the development? Yes, sir?
Yeah, Steve, I think that all the points that have been made by members of the panel so far on this issue are pertinent. And it's the situation with regard to water for Cranbrook down the road that's the main issue. That's the main concern.
Yeah.
Even if we were getting by now, which we're very close to lying.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to open up to the scoring now. I ask everybody to submit scores. I'm going to initiate it. I'm going 3.5 out of 10. I ask everybody to give a basic rationale for their scoring. Mine is the proximity, the number of people close, and it's a recreational resort. These people are there for recreation. So there's a good chance there's a number of them that are going to be going in the watershed and disturbing it. And the future impact, it's limiting sources for Cranbrook. I'm going 3.5 out of 10. Yes, Doug?
Just some clarification on the scoring system so that we're all playing the same game.
Yes, we are.
I would understand that 5 is neutral either way.
Yes.
You
5 is neutral.
couldn't give a damn one way or the other.
No, it has a decide. It wouldn't say you don't give it damn. It has a neutral impact.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Just before we go any further, Steve,
Okay.
just a couple of things that I'd like to bring up is the fact that we live in the mountains. Anytime there's a valley in a mountainous terrain, you're in a watershed. And ultimately, you can't live, for the most part, in the mountains without being in flatter terrain. So that puts you immediately into the prime area of the watershed. So that doesn't just incorporate Cranbrook, that encompasses this entire valley. Another thing that I would bring up is that we have been seeing more and more drought seasons, and it has been getting drier. So if this developer is looking at putting in a reservoir pond, and there are several years of drought in a row, where is the additional water needed going to come from to supply this development, as well as the rest of the community and surrounding communities for that matter? We are all going to end up in a problem.
Right.
So if they're looking at relying entirely on a reservoir system, especially when you put in a golf course, which requires several hundred millions of irrigation gallons of water a year to run, you have no choice but to find some secondary form of water supply.